Yo, what's up everyone? It's your boy Connor. Welcome to Slinging Sips on American Coffee Trip, where today, and for the past couple months, I have been spending time in my parents' house out in Vermont and queuing up something that's going to increase the pace of American Coffee Trip, although I'll talk about that in a separate video. Today, I'm doing another Slinging Sips coffee bag review. This is my first review of Partners Coffee Roasters. Based in Brooklyn, New York. I have not reviewed New York City yet. It might be a little while before I get to that point. But for now, I can go down to the local town store. They happen to sell this coffee, Little Seed Coffee Roasters, and Ungrounded Coffee Roasters coffee. Now, Little Seed is based out of Middlebury, Vermont, and Ungrounded Coffee Roasters is based out of South Londonderry in the sub-village area of Rawsonville, Vermont. I am a fucking walking coffee map for everything that I've reviewed thus far. But this is, honestly, there were two things that got me to buy this particular origin in this bag. One was this color. This seems like kind of a fickle thing to buy a coffee bag for, but it really goes to show how much aesthetics plays into the presentation of a coffee. And that's something that the other thing that I bought it for, the vanilla tasting note, those two things kind of being connected to what I'm thinking of in my brain. Back onto like the FACO 1 Coffee Roasters coffee, which took it to another level. Inside those boxes, you open them up, you get your bag, and then you also have a card which tells you the story behind the coffee, the elevation that it was grown at, the process, whether it be washed, natural, the process that the cherry went through, the fermentation process, to basically get the characteristics of that unique coffee. And the last one that I tried from FACO 1 also happened to have vanilla tasting notes. Something I don't see very often, and I think is kind of interesting. Something I want to give a shot. So, starting off, heat up my water. I always fill it up. I've got my Kinu grinder. It is, not that it means anything to you guys, or whatever grinder you're using at home. If you happen to be using a Kinu, I have it at setting of like 3.2. There's a wide range of clicks that you can use. And back to the V60 pour over, and just a little cup. I honestly haven't done a pour over in quite a while. It's been about like 2-3 weeks. I've been using French press a decent bit lately, and I stopped making videos on coffee bags because one, I can't afford to buy many coffee bags, and two, the freshness of the coffee itself was starting to get to a point where it was really hard to determine specific tasting notes. You start to notice the coffee weaken. It doesn't necessarily get a whole lot worse, but it does weaken. It looks like my cat is standing right underneath the camera. I might show her off later in the video. Yeah, she's really distracting though. So, I'm gonna wait for this water to heat up. While I do that, let me grab my scale here. Let's thump this right out of the way. You guys can see. This fresh bag of coffee. And one thing I noticed when I bought this was that this was roasted on 128. It doesn't smell like it's roasted January 28th. That would be way too old to sell coffee. But I also know it's, this is the future, January 2028. So I don't know either or. If this coffee was roasted too long ago, I might be able to determine that in this video. I hope not. Is there like a... on the floor. Cat just yelled at me. So mean. So mean. I swear to God, if this coffee's too old. 128 means January 28th. I would not sell this. I really hope it doesn't mean that. It smells good, but it's also never been opened. Alright. What am I looking for? Peach, fresh cream? No. We'll see if I get that in the coffee. Sometimes I get different tasting notes. Oh, lost a bean. Give it a little shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Right. As clean as I go. There's a couple things that I like about doing these face-to-face Slinging Sip videos over doing the POV videos. It's less effort to do this. Just have one camera shot, one camera angle, and just me presenting to you guys. My thoughts on the new bag of coffee. Second reason being exactly this, you know. This is a brand new bag of coffee, something that I'm experiencing for the first time. I just never know what to expect. Once you brew a coffee on one brewing method, it's going to be different. It's going to be interesting to try it on different brewing methods. The variation that I have isn't that much, to be honest, from pour over to pour over. Once you go pour over to French press, it gets interesting, but you can generally expect similar tasting notes from one to another. Sear this out. Hey, you want to come over here? Hey. Hi. This is my cat, guys. Parents' cat. Her name's Nymphadora. She's a Siberian forest cat. And she's adorable. and she's also a pain in the ass. Oh, I love her so much. Oh, good girl. Most docile cat I've freaking ever seen in my whole life. There are some people who don't like to have the chafe, the grinding chafe from your grinder inside your dose of coffee that you're going to be using. I like to include every bit of everything I possibly can. And so that weighed out at 20 grams, 0.5 gram purge. Although that's also the discrepancy that you get on this scale. And once again I get a higher budget, I'm going to get a digital scale and we'll actually have higher quality stuff. And this will exclusively be used on backpacking and hiking adventures, which is another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get like 20 freaking cans of butane and just making sure my parents didn't get home so that way. Continue this. Start timer. Grams. This part. You just sit and wait. One thing I'm working on is trying to be gentler when I'm doing my pours, and I lift, making sure it doesn't kind of cause unnecessary agitation where you get kind of extra bubbles floating to the top. Making sure as well that you get good coverage. What you're going to expect is some coffee grounds are going to try to stick more towards the sides, but if you pace the pours well enough, each subsequent pour is going to reach the highest level where the coffee's building up on the walls there. You just want it to be as even as possible. Making sure you don't hit the walls like I just did once. I did it once. If you rinse out your paper properly, it's not going to really make much of a difference. Okay, so recapping, we have a 20 gram dose. Our final output is going to be 302 grams. And if I had to guess the time, I'm guessing the time's 210 now, it's going to be a 230. Oh my god. Fucking money. I've had hot water sitting in here the whole time. Making sure this cup, the brewer, everything's as close to temp as you can possibly get it. Yes. I'm in freaking pajamas. What's up? Let's pour this in. You want to get a little background on the camera setup here. I like this kitchen better than mine, by the way. Windows. I kind of thought I'd be more of a fan of the city that I was going to be. Troy had some very short-term happiness. It's like the jazziness, the excitement of moving into a city where there's stuff and things going on. I'm a mountain guy. I can't change that. And now I'm at a point where if I live somewhere, I don't really need to be near a good coffee shop anymore. Honestly, I can be near nothing. And as long as I, during my travels, end up buying good coffee, just make it at home or in the mountains. El Ramo, single origin, Colombia. Let's give it a sip. Peach is the prominent note. That's something that's the most impactful. It hits you immediately. It's heavier on the sweeter side. There's a little tinginess. It's not tart. It's not citrusy. It's enough to change the characteristic of the peach, but not enough to take on something of its own, like lime or pineapple or something like that. It has a little bit of acidity in there. Overall, very light, on the lower end of the acidity scale. And vanilla is not a very strong tasting note that I get, although that could change as the coffee cools down. Remember, guys, this is like right after I brewed it, so the vanilla came on kind of in that aftertaste, which is pretty great. Didn't nearly come on as strong as it did in the FACA 1 coffee that I reviewed a while back. I'll put that YouTube link in the video description below for you guys now. Oh, there's the... Just as I was saying, the vanilla wasn't there. Coffee cooled down probably 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, and there it was. There that vanilla tasting was waiting for me. And that's something that's really fascinating about coffee too, that I really particularly enjoy, is that it changes across the temperature range. From when it's really hot and you first start to drink it to when it's cold, it can taste almost like a different coffee. You can tell it's the same coffee that you just brewed with, but it's taking on stronger, different tasting notes within what you brewed. Wow, alright. I'm pretty sure that it was roasted January 28th. It says on the sticker right here. It's actually retaining its taste and quality pretty well for being that old of a coffee. But it's something that now that I've opened, I'm feeling like I'm going to want to run through it a little bit quicker than I normally would. And that's just gonna be how it has to be. Right, little nunchucks? I think she agrees. Alright, with that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.